This
And but
Okay.
conference
that
will now be
it'll take
recorded.
about maybe 2 minutes just to pull
Okay.
it
Well,
up.
maybe while you're doing that, Robert, you could tell us how, what progress you've made. I think you were going to be looking at the security issues, or put a different way, the visibility issues, just to distinguish between that and more, I guess, uh, more security related stuff. What were you able to find?
Oh, so I guess a few things. When we tested it on Monday, I think the email issue may have been in something may have had something to do with it. Based on, I can't really test it. I need someone else to test it with, because the as it stands right now, there's like two kind of quirks. As it stands right now, there are kind of the way and it's still in the trial environment because I'm messing with things that have already broken the application. I kind of had to start over. So um, it's three users, right? One is like a system admin. One is someone using it for employers. The other is someone using it for veterans. Um, and I have like the candidate contact form. If you want to add a
Mhm.
new candidate, or view a
Do you want to
contact
show us?
record with.
I'll make you the presenter in case you want to show it, and then Sarita will get to you here in a minute. But
Yeah, I don't want to eat up too much time, but okay.
yeah, just a kind of a high level on what you learned would be good.
Okay. Um, so let me show the actual roles and how I have the security model set up. Is that me? What is that? Is that Sarita's desktop powering up? That sounds like a jet.
Hmm.
Did no one else hear that?
Yeah, I heard it, but it's not coming from my end.
Okay. Um, okay, so where was I? Security roles. Okay, so uh, so I guess I created two. Well, actually, yeah, I created two: the employee liaison, veteran liaison, and there are certain restrictions to what records can be created. Create, read, update, destroy. Employers global. Um, for the employer liaison, the idea is the employer liaison would add new employer entities. The veteran liaison, they can read employer entities, but they can't create them, update them, or delete them. Uh, how
And
this
and
actually
show us how you got to that, Robert. How you got to the screen. I missed
Oh,
that. I think
it's the advanced settings. It's kind of
right.
janky. Yeah, it's a bit janky. You have to like
Oh,
run
right.
the. Yeah, it's the same way we get to kind of like the main menu for Dynamics, I guess we can call it. Um,
Got it.
but yeah,
Okay.
so the one kind of key piece of information I'm missing is what this actually does, right? So like I put these restrictions on these roles. Every time I assign myself one of these roles, I couldn't, like, the security screen just wouldn't load on my end. So that may have had something to do with that email we received. I've been using Chrome. Um, but I thought it was because I was locking myself out of changing security roles by doing that. So that's still an unanswered question. But what this means is the real question, because these security roles are attached to forms, not views. So, for
Okay.
example,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Hmm.
So, the weird thing is, and this is like a dynamics thing, like I have Sarita as the employer liaison, right? And the idea is if Sarita's logged in and the system knows it's Sarita because of the login, she'll be able to create employer records and create contacts at the user level. Everyone can create contacts at the user level, and then a contact type is assigned to the record based on the information being put in.
Hmm.
But when Sarita goes to create a new contact, the only form she can see is the employer contact form.
Right. Okay. Hmm.
Now, let me see. Yeah, see, so I don't have either of those security roles assigned to me. Like I said, it kept. I think it locked me out. It may have been the issue that the email was related to. Um, the, but you can see here, I don't have, like, the only forms I have active in this application are the employer form and the candidate form. I'm
Right.
not
Okay.
assigned, yeah, I'm not assigned, like, me as the user, I'm not assigned any roles that can access either of those forms. So what Dynamics does is just gives me the generic default contact form. So,
Right.
yeah, like,
The form create, in other words.
well,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know why it's doing what it's doing. Like, I've read a lot of kind of Dynamics users wanting to update the ribbon, right? This guy here, if you guys can see,
Right.
to customize this, which seems to be coded like a code only solution. Um, so, like, basically, if I didn't have either of those security roles, I wouldn't even be able to create a new contact, right? And it just kind of, I guess, keeps the data clean. Um, but that's kind of just a, I don't know, a bridge far from where we're at, really. Um,
Yeah, I think let's do this just in the interest of time and focus on what we need to do to deliver this. By the way, one of the things that has developed, and I don't know if you picked up on this, but we are not going to be doing the data import. So what I want to do is deliver this as soon as possible. We really don't, the issue of security or visibility is really not right now. It's not only is it not in scope, it is not a requirement in the short term again, because this will only come up when Carol, is it Carol? Yeah, starts to use this. For now, though, I think the work that you've done, the research you've done, I think this is really valuable, and we should definitely keep it in mind. The other issue too is that Julie thinks that there's probably going to be that taking an approach of using a contact type, in other words, using a record type to determine which form gets viewed, is probably the direction we would go in, because there's not a sort of a data privacy issue so much as it's just really an issue of relevance to what the person is doing, right? Because everybody's a Microsoft employee, and it shouldn't. In other words, there's not a danger of
yeah,
information leakage or
it's not. I think Victor brought this point up before. It's not so much, oh, I shouldn't have seen I shouldn't have seen that kind of issue. I think it's more, someone can create the wrong issue accidentally, right? Under a lot of pressure, they to miss a field or something like that. So you end up with kind of junk data. And I think it'd be nice, right? Like Julie said, you can just train people. You can just be like, hey, stop doing that.
yeah.
But I think it'd be nice if, like, the end user just wasn't able to even make that mistake. And that's kind of what I've been
Give me
working
an
on. It's
give me
gold
an
plating.
example. give me a use case or an example of what, where that might be a problem.
Yeah, so someone's adding, if we're not importing data, someone's adding everything manually. For example, I have right now, if they're adding employer contact data and I haven't decided which field, but if they're adding an employer contact, they're filling in the employer field, which then automatically sets the contact record type to employer. Now, and if someone adds a candidate, they don't have an employer field. Well, I have to fix that. But if they have a service status like active, reserve, then it'll automatically be a candidate record type. So
Well,
what I
why?
was
Why should that determine that that assigning a value in a specific field determine which record? Why not just say right up front, this is a candidate record type or this is an employer contact? Declare that at the get-go. In other words, when you create it, you're going to be given a choice. Is this a candidate or is this an employer? Right? Now you can set the default. I know you can do that. You can set the default, and then you're basically only going to see the fields that are relevant to that particular type. So if you just simply declare it at the front, because look, what if you do want to track whether this person's a veteran or not, but they're still an employer contact. You
well,
want to
that's
know. I mean, I like knowing
yeah.
that you're an Army veteran. Sarita's a Navy veteran. It just lubricates the conversation, but not because they happen to be a candidate record type.
Yeah, that's different though. The candidate record type was something that I don't know, like whether it was going to be included or not. From what I understand, that is going to be included. But the service status, right? For candidates, you want to know if they're just getting off active duty, if they're still a reservist, or
Sure,
if they're a veteran, right? And they've been out for a
but
while. So
wouldn't you have that information to fill in once you declare that it's a candidate form you want to create? Then you're going to be given those fields to fill in.
I mean, it's a matter of degree, really, right? Like you could do that. You certainly could do that. You could have one form with every field and train someone be like, hey, if it's a candidate record type, only fill in these fields, leave these blank, right?
Well,
But
I think that defeats the purpose, frankly. I mean, you could
yeah,
have it,
I
but
agree.
but
I
why
agree.
would you? Yeah.
Exactly,
So
exactly. That's the extreme, right? That's kind of the one end of the extreme. The other end of the extreme is basically the form is more or less automated. You enter like 3 or 4 fields, other fields automatically populate. One thing I was working on was, for example, a candidate contact. They put in a job application. The job application tracks the progress, interviewed, applied, so on. And
right.
then
Hmm. Hmm.
once that process is marked as hired, the record is automatically assigned to the employer liaison team, or in this case, the administrator for that team, just because that seems to be how Dynamics works. And the record type is then updated to employer, all automatically. Now, you could have someone do that kind of manually. If someone's updating a job application to hired, then they can manually reassign the record and update the status field. But again, it's like I said, it's different approaches. One is less kind of labor intensive, like the software does it. And the other one is just there's more training involved and people have to actually kind of click where they're supposed to click.
Yeah. So ideally, I mean, this is certainly a good conversation to have generally because I think it goes to the user experience. Right? How are users really going to be using this? Ultimately, you're not going to have that many users that training is going to be, or wide scale training is going to be an issue. However, you want to make this really, really easy so that if it's somebody on Carol's team, they're automatically going to get that veteran thing. Now, I think it's good that you're thinking downrange about what kinds of things can come up that might justify, an automatic change to a different record type. But I would submit that maybe the client would find it more valuable to have a candidate who joins a company create yet a third record type, which they're attached to the company, but they become sort of an alumnus, right? So they're an alumnus, and as such, you also do want to have a history of or some history of their involvement with MSSA, right, in the past. Maybe not all the fields, but you know what I'm saying. So hold the thought, because I think it's a good one, but I'm not sure that it would be implemented in the way that you're imagining. I think it would. What you'd want to do is talk to the client and say, hey, look, here's what you can do. Do you really want to do it, and do you want to do it this way? So it's that kind of conversation. I know I've really made it featured the theme of constantly checking with your end user. We're very lucky that we do have frequent check-ins by Dan to sort of say, yeah, that's good, or that isn't. A lot of times you won't have that, but you really want to force that, and you want to go back and say, look, from a whiz bang perspective, technologically, this would be cool, but look, is it going to really have any usefulness for you? And a lot of times, I mean, I've seen so many projects be sort of driven by the technology or driven by the developer or the coder. It's really got to be driven by the user, and that's really, really hard to stay with the user and really just do, make it work for the user in that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a great way to look at it. So I have a tendency to kind of gold plate, right? Like, here's all the bells and whistles that you may not need or ever use, just because I think they're cool and I can do it, right?
Yeah,
That's just
well, that's the
but
trap, and we all fall into that. We all absolutely. Wouldn't this be cool?
Kind of, I'm
sorry.
aware. Yeah, I'm aware of that, so I try to take it into account. But I took these courses, right, that were assigned, so I'm just trying to kind of incorporate the knowledge that I learned in these into kind of what I'm doing, right? Like a practical exercise, right? Every branch of service kind of does that. So
for that, I commend you. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's just kind of what I've been up to. But that's why I'm doing it all kind of in the trial environment too, right? Anything that we think is cool and that works, we can migrate it over to the sandbox and then into production if need be. It's just that, yes, 365 can do a lot, and I think it's important that at least end users, or like, the buyer really knows that it's not just like a more complicated spreadsheet, right? And one of the real downsides of all of this is if something goes wrong, the end user may not know how to fix it. They may have to reach back out to someone who designed it in the first place to kind of address any issues, which is usually, I mean, it might sound good if you're billing, but it's usually not, because they usually don't want to do that. So
look, let's do this. If you've done a lot of really good work and done some research on driving the form type based on security role, is there some way, if you could research how to control the form that is seen based on the record type, the contact record type? Julie said that is possible. She didn't tell me how. You may have been on the phone yesterday, but we did talk about that, and she thinks that may be the better way to go in this context, as she better understands what's going on. Either way, though, I think it would be really good to kind of at least figure out how that works in this environment. I know you can do it in Salesforce. I mean, we have different contact record types in our Salesforce implementation. And the parallels are pretty predictable. I mean, it's amazing how similar they are. So I'm guessing that you might be able to figure that out in Microsoft. Does that sound like something you'd be willing to track down?
it doesn't sound like anything that was in the courses that I took. It was primarily, primarily
If
restricted.
it's not, yeah, if it's not, it's not. I mean, I was just suggesting you could sort of chase it down. Maybe it does exist, but it may not be as prominent as being in a course material. But I do want to move on because I do want to get the other issues that are standing in the way of getting this completely accepted.
Yeah,
So
for
maybe
sure.
if
Let
there's
me
time, we can
hand
go
it off.
back. Yeah, but that's one of the things is basically how are we going to solve the problem of which forms get presented? Ideally, you do it based on the contact record type, right? If it's a candidate, then you show the candidate form. If it's another user or another contact, then you show that form. And that would be the easy. So when you create the contact, you declare which type it is, and from then on out, all you see is the information pertaining to that contact type, right? So check it out. If you can't find it, that'll be interesting to know. Um, but for right now, if we could, let's go to Sarita. Sarita, you're on now, and I think did I give you? Oh, actually no. Robert's got control now. Robert, can you give that control over to Sarita? Sarita's now okay. She's now the presenter. Great. And I see Daniel's on. Hi, Daniel.
Hi. Okay, I need you to give me the presenter. I'll send the presenter to my desktop view that says
Uh-oh.
Sarita Hayes desktop view in parentheses.
Oh yeah. Okay. I just sent that to you.
Okay, let's see. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what I wanted to do is over here on this side is where I was looking to change these icons. And so what I did is, well, I can show you the path there is I went to the gear and I clicked advanced settings and I clicked on the solution. And so under components, clicked here on model driven apps. And so I double clicked on the MSSA vet app,
Mm-hmm.
which will take me to the app designer. And so here on the sitemap, I click the pencil here on the right, and here is what we have on our dashboard under,
Okay.
okay, so here
On the
under accounts,
navigation.
yes, under the accounts and contacts, there's a default view for the icon. And for job
Mm-hmm.
postings and application, that icon is coming from a web application. So I can
Okay.
show you right here under accounts, and you click the pencil here, and you scroll over here to the sub area, scroll down here, and it says use default image, but it also, let's see, yes, that's all it has right here.
Okay. Well, if you go to
Yes.
one of the ones that don't have an image, that just has a placeholder like job postings, what are your choices there? Just click on the pencil. What kind of job choices do you have? So use default. Yeah, go to the icon and see what choices you got.
Okay, this is just it right here.
Oh, there's no other
I think
choices?
with employer, I think I looked under employer and it may have had more icons. It seemed like it had more icons earlier today when I looked at it
Well,
earlier, but now I'm limited.
well,
So
here's my guess. Here's my guess is that there's a library, and you basically have to add something to the library before you can select it. Now, how you do that, I don't know. Robert, have you or Daniel, have you guys looked into this in any way? But see, so it refers to web resources slash app, whatever. And that's what it's giving you. And that's probably, it populates it with some placeholder icon. But there's probably somewhere where you can go select icons to add to the library from which you can select. That's my guess.
Yes, I was thinking maybe I would have to get with Julie because she did say that she could provide some help on getting those icons. But I'll do a little research myself before I contact Julie.
Well, let's do
Yeah.
this. Is there if you go to the help section and just do just select icon, icon selection and just icons, and let's just see what comes up. I'm just curious about that, and it'll be good a good exercise for all of us to
Just the
see if we
help
can
over
quickly.
here.
Yeah, I think so. And then I guess maybe help on this page. I don't know. Accept dynamics online. I'm not sure which one it's going to be under, but and then you'll probably have like a search, and you just do icon navigate. Just click on icon. If
Okay.
there's a search in there. Okay, that's not a help page, is it? Look, that's what you got, but it doesn't look like.
That's not coming
Uh,
up.
okay, well, do you want to? All right, yeah, try some other help then. And
Yes, I'll just have to find the library where these icons are being tied to.
well, if in fact it is a library, but I think maybe, yeah, it feels to me like Microsoft. I know they have tons of icons somewhere, and it's probably a common library that you can just basically say, I want to use this, and that. I want to add it to my own library, and then voila, that would be the way to go. So yeah, if you want to just go ahead and research it, I thought maybe there might be something really quick that would
Mhm.
sort of reward us, for doing our own research fairly quickly, but I guess not. All
Okay, and
right.
also my second issue I was working on, what I did for the account um, job postings column, I removed employer. From our last discussion, you explained how employer was just not necessary um, to be there under that column. So I went ahead and I had removed it. So
Okay, good. So it was redundant, right? Um,
yes,
that was the
yes,
issue. Yeah. Okay. Great.
yes. It was
Let's see.
let's see, here under account. Let's see. So if you go to the employer, okay, job postings. Okay, yes, it was
Oh,
right
there you
here,
go.
but I took it out. It was right here.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So you've got the city, state, zip, the number of openings, job status, date posted. Perfect. Great.
But the
Yeah, it just
employer
makes it
contact is still there.
on. Oh. Uh,
So I left that one there. That
oh,
column
employer.
there.
Oh, employer contact. Right. Yeah. No, which is good.
Yes.
Which is good.
Okay.
Um, yeah, perfect. So that's serviceable now. Um, and let's see what other. As long as we're on this, I think the. I don't know if this. I mean, this is definitely beyond the scope. But if you want to try to, you know, to take a crack at this, remember when we, like for example, if you go to a go to job applications, just that list, yeah. And then where it says add new, go ahead and add a new one, right? So what should be automatically, well, okay, great. You've got the employer, obviously that's populated, that's good because it is related, right? It's related to that thing. But I would, oh, you know what? Yeah, go ahead and click on the job title and see if it gives you, constrains the, uh, oh, wow, okay. Is that the one job uh, posting that ABC Company has?
I
It
believe
looks like
so.
it's actually, oh, nice. Okay, well, it's constraining. I don't know what you did, but it's doing what, I was hoping it would, that it constrains the positions based on the employer that has put those positions out there, right? So it's not showing you all of them. If you look, go ahead and type in like ENG, start and see if it brings up engineer. Okay. Now, I think engineer is one of the job postings, but it's not one of the job postings for ABC companies. So nice work. I mean, this is exactly the way it should be. It's basically telling you, it's only showing you the options that pertain to that employer. Okay, wait a minute. Now that's giving you now, go ahead and click on the consultant. Okay. All right. Well, it wants the, oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, when I
It's
click
now
on the
giving you all of them.
magnifying glass, everything over here just pops up under
Okay,
the
go ahead and just
magnifying glass.
go ahead and select, anything other dishwasher, custodian, but not the consultant. Just anyone. Just go ahead and click on it, and then save it. And let's see what that does now. Yeah, because it's not constraining. It looks like it's not constraining. Now, just go to click on ABC Company. I just want to see. Yeah, just right inside of the, well, yeah, there's a field there. You can just click on there. Okay, now job postings. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, it has other job postings. So job title and server, but consultant is not one of them. Okay, so I spoke too soon. It looks like it's not, for whatever reason, it gave you the consultant, but then when you clicked on the icon, the spyglass thing, it showed job openings for all other companies. So the issue is still, how can we constrain? In other words, when you click on new job application on this record page, it should only show you the whatever those two job postings are. That if you go back and click on those, it should only show you job title 3 and server, right? Because obviously there's new. And you know what? Here's the thing: is we're not really going to be creating applications manually, probably. So it's not a big deal at this point. It just, again, it's just an opportunity to chase this down and kind of figure out, really understand how this works if you need to do it in another context where it really is important.
Okay, that's something I can look into further.
Yeah, but check the
Yes.
icon thing. Make that should be a priority because we want to get that. That's pretty germane to the to our delivery. And then let's see, we had what else? Okay, Robert, Sarita, and then I think um, let's see, nav. Well, okay, there was something about the navigation menu that mentor lookup. Um, mentor, again, mentors are going to be assigned at the employer, right? So I'm not sure that that's going to be a big issue at this point, but we are going to have a lookup field at the employer for the mentor that is assigned to that new hire, that veteran who gets hired, right? So at some point that's going to be maybe sooner rather than later, but what would be some of the issues that you'd want to address, in having a lookup for mentoring? What are some of the issues if you add that?
And you said this will be for the veterans that are hired, the new hires.
Right. There's going to be a person within that company that is assigned as that veteran's mentor for 12 months. right? So it's really kind of an ongoing thing. That's a requirement for any company that agrees to hire a veteran. They're going to assign them a mentor. So mentor is what kind of a contact type?
But the mentor would be an employer contact, but it also,
Exactly.
yes, it should show up under the veterans contact if they're the new hire.
You got it.
But
Yeah, it's
yeah,
going to be a lookup, right? It's going to be a lookup on the veteran contact record, right? But it's
yeah,
also going to be right. It's also going to be a reverse lookup, right? So you're going to look at the mentor and be able to see who their mentee is, and the mentee is going to be within that company. Now that may be more of a Victor thing because he's working on the contact side of things. I'm sorry. That's Robert, right?
Yeah, I
Uh,
I
yeah,
created
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
view.
Okay, go
Go
ahead and click on contacts, Sarita, and let's look at the view that Robert created. Yeah, because that was my next thing is you'd want to have a view. Yeah, go ahead and look at the views.
Now it's for when you create a new contact and you're selecting a mentor.
Oh, it is? Okay, so if go ahead and click on that down arrow, Sarita. Let's look at the views. Did you create a mentor like mentors?
It's not a system view. It's like if you're creating a new veteran contact, you have the mentor field, and it'll just limit what's shown to employer contacts. Actually,
Okay.
I made an adjustment that'll break it just now, but I can undo that.
Well,
okay. I
yeah,
can
what
give
you'd want
Robert
to
the
do.
screen. Robert, do you want the screen to
I
be the
know you
presenter?
actually, yeah. If you want to kind of see it in action, if you click new, let me make one correction on my end here. If you create new veteran contact, there should be the mentor field, which is a lookup, and it will, like we just saw with the job applications, it'll just limit the choices that it shows to employer contacts. Um, so yeah, it'd be candidate. So contact last one candidate, and then there's a mentor field on here somewhere. It might be under address or
MS
MSSA.
MSSA would be go ahead and go to MSSA. It should be on there because that's really their track. They're still technically in MSSA. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There's mentor. Go
So
ahead
when
and
you
click in that. Go ahead and click in that, Sarita,
Yeah,
in the
click
mentor
in that
area.
field,
Okay,
and
good.
so these are showing the ones that you did. But if you click on the magnifying glass, I think they're based on like recent contacts, like ones that you saw. Okay, so this should just be limited to employer contacts. I don't know what's going on with Jim there. Click on that. Click
Well,
on. Is he an employer
Uh,
contact?
Jim, if you click on Jim Johnson, uh, he's probably listed as he probably is an employer contact.
Yeah, you can click OK
But yeah,
here. You
so
know.
so what you want to do, I think, we want to create a view, a system view that says mentors, right? What's our list of mentors? So you're going to want to have an indicator that allows us to create the filter that will basically display only mentors and the company that they're with, right? So, like for example, if you go back right now and Jim Johnson, okay, so Jim Johnson is an employer contact, right? We've got him designated, even though he's with the Army. You know, the system doesn't know that, if you're employed by one of the armed services, that you're not an employer contact, and that's fine. Um, but
And we're looking. We're
I think
also.
we need to. I think we need to kind of designate that this is a mentor. I mean, how do we know that this person is a mentor, other than that? that there is a cross lookup to a veteran, right? So is there
This is
something,
right now. This is the candidate form, right? See above his name,
right?
it says contact candidate. So on the employer form, we can add a field that indicates
Go ahead and
whether
switch to the employer contact form, please.
it'll be
No,
above his name.
up top. No, just up top. Go back, and then just the down. There you go. Yeah, just switch the view. There you go. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. And so, what would be the best way? Where would you put something? I mean, this is really a question. I don't know. But how would we designate? I mean, would we just put a checkbox, or can you just check to see if there's any value? Here's one way to do it. Check to see if there's a value in the lookup field for, let's say, mentee, or right. And what kind of a relationship would that be? You know, mentor to mentee. What kind of relationship would that be?
This is actually an exact issue I've been struggling with, kind of trying to get like if the if a candidate contact has a mentor assigned to them, how to get that field value to affect things outside of just that form or just that record. And that's something that's I've been a bit struggling with, and I've actually put some thought into this because I was working on the mentor field. There wasn't a lot of information put out, but I assumed it would be someone at an employer, and the the system view that would just show mentors. It seems like the best thing would be if an employer contacts at it, they can be indicated whether they are a mentor. And this is based on the assumption that it's a program that someone opts into. Um, but being able to kind of take a field value on one record and use that outside of just the record is something that I think is worth knowing. I just don't know it yet.
Okay. Well, how about I think you're on the right track here, but again, what kind of relationship is you have an entity, if you will, called, and these are of course all contacts, right? But what kind of relationship do you have between mentors and mentees or candidates? What's the nature of the relationship? Anybody?
I think I can answer it. So generally when a lookup's created, there's actually two relationships that are created, both a one-to-many and a many-to-one. On the entity that the lookup is created, in this case, contact entity is looking up other contact entities. It's kind of self-referential, but it's a one to from, in this case, the candidate record. It's one, and then many is the employer contact records. And on the individual mentor, they'll have a relationship where that mentor is one, and then whoever they're mentoring or their mentees will be many.
Exactly. Okay, that was the answer. The short answer is it's a one to many. I think now it could be that a veteran candidate might have more than one mentor. I mean, we can deal with that later. But my working assumption is that each veteran would only have one mentor, but a mentor could have a number of mentees, right? I mean, that seems reasonable. Now, so the question is, how would you if it's a one to many and that contact happens, how do you determine that they are a mentor? How would be a really quick way to do that without creating another field? I mean, a one in addition to the lookup.
I
How
think
could we
that
identify which people are mentors?
Yeah, I think that's the $1 million question, really, because
Well,
the only indication right now is on the candidate form, they're shown as a mentor. So we have that information. How to use that information to indicate an employer record, which on the employer record, there's nothing that says they're a mentor, right?
okay.
So,
Well, accept that, and let me just kind of got it. I need a break at 11. I just want to make sure we run through this. So is there, and I don't know what the answer to this is, but there. Do you suppose that there might be a way when you enter the mentor, you go to the candidate and you look up the mentor and you enter them in there, that there might be on the mentor's record that the name of that candidate would then show up.
oh yeah, okay, yep.
Right, you see what I'm saying? So it's like a reciprocal kind of thing. And okay, so when that shows up, now an otherwise empty field is what? It's popular. It equals more than zero, right? And if it equals more than zero, it means that they have a relationship to a candidate, a mentor-mentee relationship. So wouldn't it be just as simple as saying, hey, give me the list of all the people that have any value at all in that mentor field? And those are
That would be
mentors.
that would be the mentees.
Or the mentees, I mean. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah,
So
but
you could have a list, you could have a list
wait,
view
hold on,
that
John.
says mentors. Hang on a second. You could have a list
Okay.
view that says mentors, and the filter criterion is simply show me all the contacts, the employer contacts that have a value in the mentee lookup field, period. And then
So
all you're going to get,
there's
yeah,
an
go
issue.
ahead.
Yeah, there's an
Mhm.
issue with that because I've tried that before, and if I remember correctly, I have to take better notes. But if I remember correctly, the what happens if you do that kind of test or condition whether that field has information or not? I think if it's a lookup field, that it will always have information. I'll have to test this, but I had an issue with that earlier when I was trying that. Um, if it's if you because it contains data or doesn't contain data.
All right. Well,
So,
try. Here's the thing. Just to cut through it. My guess is it doesn't. I mean, the only way to do it is just to test it, right? And see if in fact, if there's no value in that lookup field, if they get excluded from that list, that would be uh, my go-to, just to sort of test that. But again, it's not a like a front and center issue, but I think the fact that we're going to want to track mentees and mentors, as you said, and those are some thoughts about how to do that. Like I say, I need to leave here shortly, and I want to make sure that Sarita, Daniel, Victor, who just joined us, are able to have some, make sure we get some airtime there to address any issues you have. Sorry to cut you off there, Robert. It's good discussion, but we do need to
yeah, no, for sure. Sorry to
get focused
monopolize
on,
it.
yeah, yeah. So anybody, Sarita, I think you've got a pretty good plan there for getting done the icon thing. Victor, I don't know when you joined, but anything anything you're concerned with you want to share?
Yeah, John, I wasn't able. Who's driving? Who's got the screen? Do you?
I have the screen, but I can stop sharing it. Um,
No, you could run it, Sarita. So, John, the thing I was expected to do between Monday and today, I couldn't figure out how to do it, believe it or not. So, if you go to job postings, Sarita,
Remind us what that was, Victor.
that was where you had the view. So, click on Consultant 2. I think I'll show you here. And then if you go here and click on Applications, I was unable to switch this. See where it says Job Title, Candidate,
Hmm.
and we're looking at Recruiter, which probably should show Consultant 2. But I was supposed to take this job title field off of this, and because we've got the job title up at the top, consultant two. So
Right.
I went to the job postings form that has the applications subgrid, and I thought it would be simple as easy as pie or whatever. But I couldn't get this done. So I couldn't take that job title field off. So I
Oh, okay. Well, do you want to just run through that again real quickly? Sarita, you can drive here, and if you would, and I think it's the job, actually the job type, the job posting entity that we're in. Yeah, and then form, and then you want to go to job postings, and then you want to double click on the grid, and let's take a look at what that view is. That's
for the applications. Yeah, good. I'd be scrolled. Yeah, just
scroll down. And go to the grid.
For much. This
Applications. There you go. Yeah. Double click on that, and then edit. Just down. Mm-hmm. And it should give you the opportunity to. Okay, so
See,
so
I
this
took
is
it
interesting.
Off. Yeah, I took it off. It doesn't have, and it's the job application. Yeah.
Okay, what's on there that shouldn't be, and what is not on there that should be?
Well, I don't. Employer, date applied, stage change, the candidate, date of hire. If you want to hit the
candidate. I'm sorry. So candidate. If you're already looking at the employer and the job posting, what new information are you going to be looking for in this list? Candidate's the main thing, right? Which candidate applied, right? So what you want to do? Oh, I lost my screen. Are you guys still there?
Yeah, I can hear.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm lost my screen. Okay, something's happening here on my end. Anyway, the point is on that on this thing, you don't need employer, right? Because you're in the job, you're basically in the job posting record. Hang on.
Okay.
You're in the job posting that is automatically related to an employer, correct? It is, because that's by definition. So why would you need to have the employer column? And then the second thing is the candidate is who applied. So I would move that candidate over to the left, all the way to the left. That's the basic, and then the date applied, and then just get rid of the employer. So I'm sorry, Victor, go ahead. I just want to complete the thought.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, let's see if it changes. And maybe I was just having problems with my publish. Let's hope that this works. This is where I was, John. So at least I wasn't off base.
Okay, go ahead and save that, save and close. Yeah, and then publish. While we're waiting for this to publish.
No, hit OK. Do you have to hit OK there, or is it X OK? Okay, and now you're publishing.
So I need to break, but I want to talk with each of you about. We talked about this before, but I want to talk about how to increase your exposure now to potential employers. I've gotten back from you, your preferences. Talked to Sarita one-on-one, and I want to talk with each of the rest of you to kind of get the best sense for what your first job in this space ideally should look like. And so be thinking about how comfortable are you working on your own, right? I know we've talked about this before, but there's a lot of, like, if you go with a partner, there are situations where you'll have a lot of support around you. You've got a supportive environment within which you can sort of learn on the job and continue to do that. Generally, that's not customer-facing stuff like this. It's probably going to be more like you're going to be out of sight of the customer until you really get the chops to be almost like an advisor or consultant to that customer, right? That's kind of the job of a consultant. The second thing is, again, back room, back office, or customer facing. Be thinking about that. Be thinking about the path you want to take. You know, you want to go in the direction of a technical architect. You want to be more of a consultant. You want to be like an admin, kind of a jack of all trades. There's a lot of, a lot of kind of ways of going. You've already expressed your geographic things, but I want to make sure that your first job is one that completely supports your where you are and where you want to get to. Okay, so I want to better understand that, and at some point, I want to talk to Victor and Robert. We've already talked a little bit, but I think more full discussion would be really good. And then Daniel, I don't know, we really haven't talked a whole lot, but happy to chat with you and let's, we can talk about what's an appropriate next step if you want to continue. But I think there's probably still some training for you to do before you're, employable, if you will. If nothing else, maybe just, being a little bit more visible in this whole process. But that would be my general feedback. Okay, so call me sometime. I'm pretty open. If you want to just call me and we can chat through this. Okay.
Like today,
Thanks, John.
or over the next couple of days.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm open today. I'm leaving at about 1 today. That's what is that? Year 10, Victor?
I'm 8 o'clock now. 10, 11, 12, 1. I'm 3 hours behind. That would be within
3
the
hours.
next 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm around for another couple of hours, and if you want to give me a buzz, just feel free to do that. My office number is the office number. I think it's a signature on the email, and it's that 415-925-1515. That's probably a better number to reach me. I'm usually in the office. My cell phone doesn't always work that well in my home office here.
Thanks, John.
Hey, you bet. Hey, good work, guys. We're in the home stretch here, and as I mentioned earlier, John is going to be doing the data because of the GDPR stuff, right? It's the compliance with the European defined standards for data privacy. We're not supposed to have access or exposure to any of their data. So Microsoft is going to be handling the data input. Okay. Normally that wouldn't be a problem. I mean, you'll be very, very much in the thick of it on most projects. In this case, though, it's an abundance of caution, I guess. All right. Yeah, good. Okay. Good. Encouraging comments, and keep up the good work. Just call me anytime. That's from here on out. My priority is going to be to get you guys, into a situation where you can double down on what you've learned. A paid gig. Just to be really clear. Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It sounds good. Thank you, John.
Hey, you guys have done great work. So you're quite welcome, and it's really a real joy to work with each of you. Okay, I got to run. Shall we plan to do this again on Friday, even though we're past the delivery? I'll go ahead and set up for Friday, and maybe we just make that a kind of review what you've learned. But I'll just send out a reminder.
Sounds good. I can make that.
All right. Yeah, if you can or can't, I mean, I'll record it. Okay, hey, thanks everybody. And again, good work. We'll see you Friday. And call me in the meantime if you have any questions.
Will do. Thank you.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well,
Bye-bye. Hey, if anybody's interested, what me and John were talking about with regards to like creating a Menti view, I did that. So if you want to see that, if anybody wants to add to their kind of knowledge bank, um, it's there. Like if you go to contacts and select a view, there should be one called Mentees, and it'll show a list of all the contacts with mentors and who the mentee. Yep, that last one there.
I'm making you the organizer, Robert. I gotta bail here, but see you guys.
And it gives you a list. So if mentor has data, if mentor doesn't have data, and it's any field, right? So if mentor equals Dan Shimani, then it'll just show, right? So in my case, I did if mentor has data, and it's showing just the contacts with something in that mentor field. Um, what I was talking about earlier, I think it applies to like option sets or multi-select option sets. Like I said, I'll have to double check that, but I think they always contain data. So if there's an option set that you know you don't put an answer for, like service status, that I think that's the one where I found it, right? Service status. If there's an employer contact who was never in the service, you're not going to select something for that. However, just how Dynamics works, it thinks there's data there. And I'm assuming the data is just no option selected or something. So it's just one of those like kind of quirks with 365 that you may come across someday. And it's just putting the information out there. But
cool.
Okay. Thanks, Robert.
yeah, no worries. All right, guys.
Okay.
Talk to you Friday.
All right. All right. Have a good day.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.